The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Cash Converters.
Good evening, great to have your company for night number 2. It's the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. We're streaming live on the Supercars social channels. It's all about SwiftX qualifying, and tonight we're racing not too far away from virtual Garth and where I am sitting right now tonight. Sandown Raceway, first time we've seen it in iRacing, which is really cool. Good evening, Garth. We're doing things with a bit of a twist tonight.
That's right, Chad. Enduro time.
Yeah.
So both drivers will share the same car, and we'll have a top 5 shootout as well for qualifying. So a little bit different to what we saw in round 1 at Winton.
Yeah, we tried this out last year with Bathurst and the Enduro races there, and we did see quite a bit of excitement with that. So we figured with Sandown being new to the game and new to the world, we wanted to see a return to this in our iRacing and in the E-Series. So really cool to see how this is all going to play out. The Enduros last year and the ones that we've seen with co-drivers have been thrilling so far. So I'm hoping tonight, Garth, we're going to see this go right down to the wire.
Yeah, plenty of flexibility with strategy as far as which driver can start the race. The All-Stars need to do a minimum of 17 laps. So the All-Stars, the regular supercar in real life drivers, are almost like the co-drivers.
Yeah.
So they have to have a minimum amount of the race that they have to do, and then the pros can take over. But when they do all that, it's completely up to the teams.
Since you are a real life co-driver, do you have any good advice for the what would be pros in our world but All-Stars tonight?
Just take the whole race. Just
Just
take the whole,
don't bring it in.
Don't let the pro in at all.
No need to hand it over. So we will see them also featuring in the top 5 shootout. I reckon you should put your hand up for a shootout lap at Bathurst.
I'd put my hand up. I don't know if it'd get taken. So I'm pretty sure I wouldn't get to get in the car.
No, not going to happen, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll see you at Sandown maybe when we get a couple rounds down the road doing some real life laps. I want to quickly say good day to our good buddy Andre Heimgartner on our Shore Live chat because he did a really nice job last week. So welcome to the coverage, Andre. Well done, buddy. Podium last week. How are we feeling about going enduro racing tonight?
Yeah, thanks. It's always a bit of fun for us real drivers. We do a bit of sim, obviously, and done the E-Series a few years, but compared to these other guys, you know, we're a bit off, to put it lightly. So, yeah, it's going to be tricky, this Sandown track. You know, it's actually pretty close to real life, believe it or not. Just some of the curbs are probably a bit too aggressive and stuff like that. But see how we go. I think Jake's been pretty speedy in practice, so see if we can keep out of trouble.
I wanted to ask you about how the iRacing scan of Sandown has played out, because curbs are such a big part of how the car drives at Sandown in real life. Do you get the same sort of feedback when you drive it in the sim?
Yeah, look, it's not totally off. I think a few of them, they all look basically what it is, but I think it's just a bit too aggressive versus what you actually do in the real life. Like sometimes you can catch a curb the wrong way, and it's like you're up on the side of the car, just heading towards the gravel trap. So some of them quite aren't realistic, but it's actually really interesting how you drive over a curb in a real car. Is actually, like, the technique is actually the same. It rewards the same thing in the game. So it's good as far as that goes.
You've got your real-world engineer coming along for the ride. At least he was here last week. And have you guys had a chance to talk about strategy with Jake yet?
Yeah, we've been through it all. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory. If you have obviously a slower guy, and then you have the main sim dude. So yeah, we'll just wait and see. But I think this track, it's although it's simple, as we always know in the real world, there's so much action around here. So it's going to be able to not make mistakes. We'll be on top.
Mate, once we get round 2 of the E-Series done, I assume you'll be jumping straight on a plane and heading to South Australia. The scene of your first race win in the championship last year. Be looking forward to that. Yeah,
the old E-Series. It means I have to leave early tomorrow morning to go to the Bend, but it's all good fun. But yeah, I remember I was speaking to you after the win, and yeah, it's a pretty special moment. So I'm looking forward to going back to that track, and any track that you have those sort of results at, you always look forward to. You go with a bit more confidence, and it's really in the calendar when you highlight the ones you're looking forward to. For sure, it is one.
Thanks for the chat, Andre. Best of luck tonight, and looking forward to seeing you over in South Australia, mate.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, he'll be. I imagine one of the people hopeful that iRacing gets scanned in Pukekohe as well. It'd be cool to see some more local tracks added to the game. All right, we're not too far away from switching our attention. SwiftX qualifying coming up right here. Night 2, Cash Converters Supercars E-Series.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Bosch Professional Tools, backed by a 6-year guarantee.
Unreal value just got better at Pizza Hut. Pick up our new range from just $3. Enjoy delicious new sides like flame-grilled meatballs. Hey, Dougie, mate, this is a pickup ad.
From $3. That's unreal.
Good times, Pizza Hut.
Andre Heimgartner on screen here in the R&J Batteries Brad Jones racing entry.
Hold on, where's the pit crew? What's he stumbled upon here? Looks like the boys are having a bit of fun with their new toy. Get a gaming super bargain at Cash Converters. Click and collect or shop online with a 90-day warranty on most items. Cash Converters, life made possible.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Bosch Professional Tools, backed by a 6-year guarantee.
And with SwiftX qualifying, great to have your company tonight. Night 2 of the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. We've had all kinds of qualifying formats at Sandown over the years, even co-driver races. But tonight, it's all about putting yourself in the top 5. Haven't had too many top 5 shootouts before. And we're going to see lots of this, getting a quick lap in and then slamming on the brakes, back to the pits, fresh set of tyres, and go again. Now, Garth, what are we going to see and expect over the next 17 minutes?
Well, lots of what I'm seeing is, get, like you said, Chad, get across the line once your lap time's done, jam the brakes, stop the car, escape back to pit lane, grab a set of tyres and go again. So still with just over 16 minutes to go in this session, drivers have all had plenty of warm-up before we came on air, so they know roughly what they're capable of doing lap times. And currently Dane Warren, pole man from Winton at the first round, is fastest with a 106.0. So that's about a second faster than what we'd expect IRL in supercars around Sandown. So the Pro Series drivers have all the trick setups. They know how to maximise getting the most out of the car on iRacing, and they've found a little bit more speed than what we have in real life.
It's also incredibly close at the moment. So that 106.052 for Dane Warren was closely followed by Jake Burton from Brad Jones Racing. He's just gone 8 thousandths of a second slower. So that is a tough, tough beat. Really close for these first few laps.
Dane Warren comes to start another lap. Currently fastest. You saw as he came through the final corner, got the car right up on the curb, opened up the entry and the exit of the last corner to get a good run down the front straight, and then runs it nice and wide on entry into 1. And we had that chat with Andre Heimgartner before qualifying, and he was saying just how the curbs are a little bit different when you fly the curbs here, 2 and 3, which is critical at Sandown. So for our all-stars that are used to driving around Sandown in a supercar or a sports sedan or whatever it may be in real life, they're used to the car reacting in a particular way over the curbs. The Pro Series drivers, they don't have that previous experience, so they're just used to what happens in iRacing. So they're used to the dynamic of the car right here, right now, in the game. So they don't have that preconceived idea. So they will fly the curbs much harder and use a lot more of the racetrack than potentially our all-star drivers.
And they're very aggressive on that curb at turn 7 as well, and if you do take too much of a shortcut across turn 7, you can lose the lap. So that's that very short right-hander over the curb as you come flying down the hill, down to what is virtual Dandenong Road here in iRacing terms. So these first flying laps go through, and Dane Warren, this time by, goes 106.01 and just lowers that mark by a few hundredths of a second. So it's pretty close between him and this guy right now.
Jake Burton, currently second, comes off the final corner, and he's straight into pit lane, so he knows that lap's not going to improve. Parks it at the medical centre. That's not where you change your tyres, but that's how a quick way to escape back into pit lane and grab a set of tyres and get going again. So multiple runs. Wouldn't this be great in real life? We could just come into pit lane, grab 6 sets of tyres in qualifying and have a crack.
Not even have to do an in-lap.
No, don't worry about in-laps.
Yeah, just hit escape, get the free tow. Speaking of a tow, I wonder if there's any chance of working with teammates potentially in this session to try and secure yourself inside the top 5. It's a pretty big couple of drag strips at either end of the straight.
Yeah, it works well at Sandown using the slipstream effect. 2 big long straights up the back straight here, and which is slightly uphill, and down the front straight also. So curious, there's a little bit of wind out there that has been set in the conditions, so you need to be mindful of which way that wind direction is blowing, whether it's a headwind up the back straight or a tailwind.
Well, as this is starting to heat up on track with 13 minutes to go, we're not too far away from getting our next run of push laps in. I'll say a very good evening to our virtual pit reporter, Jonathan Simon. How are you enjoying your evening tonight, Jono?
Hey, it's a very good evening. Welcome to Sandown. I love a race in Victoria. Who knew, Chad, that Sandown would ever make its way on iRacing?
I know, right? We used to have it back in the PlayStation 2 days, I reckon, on the V8 Supercars games, which I frequented a lot. It has popped up on other sims as well, but new to iRacing. So we've got actually 3 Victorian tracks now, Jono. We've got Winton, Phillip Island and Sandown all on iRacing, which is pretty cool.
All on the series schedule for this season. We had Winton last week, Sandown this week, and of course we've got Phillip Island later for round 4. Now, a quick thing on track temperature is that the session local time, yes, this is simulated. It's 10 a.m. at the moment, and it's climbing to about a 10:20 a.m. finish for the session. Now, the track temperature is only going to get hotter, and that means lap times could get slower, so it's only going to become harder to set purple sectors. And on that note, Dane Warren has just gone purple in the first sector, but a lot of drivers behind are struggling with the increasing track temps.
All right, thank you, mate. Hopefully a bit of rubber down on the circuit will mean that it stays nice and competitive over the next 12 minutes. Also keep an eye out for that magic 5th spot. At the moment, it's one of the new guys, in Jake Maloney, who's parked himself in the shootout, and that'll be a pretty cool effort. He was 11th in qualifying last week.
Done a nice job there. Maloney currently just under 2/10 off the fastest, but Warren's improved that lap time. He's gone into the 5s now with a 5.98. So Maloney stays 5th, which, as you said, Chad, that's the critical position. We're so used to top 10 shootouts, but tonight, top 5, just got to make the top 5 and then send your all-star driver in. So it's a bit like the pro does all the hard work and then the all-star driver gets the glory of the shootout lap. But that'll be interesting, sending the all-stars out there cold, effectively, to punch one lap.
So Dane Warren still on top. And then it's Jared Filsell, Jake Burton, Jordan Caruso doing a nice job inside the 5, who's had a change of colours at Tickford this week, and then Jake Maloney rounding out the 5. So we've got Jared, Jake, Jordan, and Jack, and then Jackson. We just need to get...
Easy for you to say, Chad.
Just need to get Josh and Job up there. And a little bit further down the order, Job Stewart was pretty quick last week. And, Jackson Suzlin Harlow was also fairly quick last week. Qualified 9th, but did race a lot better than that until he got pinged for speeding in pit lane.
It's starting to look like a Moto 3 qualifying session where they're all sort of cruising around with each other, looking for slipstreams off each other. You talk about how close it is, Chad. The entire 19 cars currently separated by just over 0.6 of a second. So the virtual racing league here on iRacing proving that just like real life at Sandown, qualifying so tight, so close to the margins. Filsell now, Jared Filsell goes to 2nd, 3/100ths behind Dane Warren. So the two fast men from round 1 at Winton continue the battle on the front row here tonight at Sandown. Jake Burton currently 3rd with that 6.06. So Burton be looking to improve. Once you start dropping down to 3rd and 4th, it's where you start getting a little bit nervous in a top 5 shootout. Feel like if you're in the front 2, you're a little bit safer. So tight, so close. The margins here at Sandown.
Zach Best will be feeling nervous. He's due to drive with Jake Maloney tonight. Jordan Caruso is going to be paired with Jake Kostecki. So potential couple of Tickford drivers book themselves a ticket into the shootout later. If they survive, Jake Burton, he'll be sharing with Andre Heimgartner. So I had a chat with Andre a moment ago. Jared Filsell, and then we're getting up towards the guys that we're expecting to see at the front of the field anyway tonight. Jared Filsell sharing with Brody Kostecki, who's leading the way in the All-Star Championship. Dane Warren, who's leading the Pro Championship, is sharing with Jaden Ojeda, and I imagine he'll be feeling a little bit nervous tonight. There's a lot of responsibility in his shoulders, particularly if he's got to put it on the pole in the shootout as well.
That's right. Probably doesn't have the sim racing experience that a Brody Kostecki would have. Rougier, who were the two fast men in the All-Stars race at Winton last week.
Madison down. Spent a bit of time racing in this series using virtual reality, but has made the switch back to the screens. You ever tried VR?
Yeah, I have tried. James Golding used his VR goggles and hated it. Got seasick.
Made you sick?
Yeah, got seasick driving it. So
you hear that a bit from people trying it. It either really messes with your inner ear. It's like the brain's trying to say, I should be moving, but I'm not. And it can quite get in your head and cause a little bit of motion sickness. We've got some pretty big slipstream games going on at the back straight.
This is preparation. This is preparation for a push lap. They're
there were
queuing
rules
up.
in place that you're not allowed to drop below 60 k's an hour.
I feel like they're doing 61 right now, Chad.
And that's Cooper Webster, who's the unfortunate tow truck at the front. Doing about 60.5 kilometres per hour down the back straight. And I think he's just going to have to lead this field back for these next push laps, Jonathan.
Yeah, definitely. Now, one quick thing, updates from last round. Emily Jones isn't racing today. Kurt Stenberg is stepping in for her. Remember, Kurt drove at Road America last year. He stepped in for Sam Blacklock. Does the same again here today. And also, stewards have reminded the drivers, you have to drive at 60 kilometres an hour at a minimum. We had a lot of backlog, a lot of congestion at the final corner to begin those last runs.
Okay, race control has hit the the button to make sure that everybody's on their best behaviour for this one. That was the car that Emily Jones was meant to be driving, and that is Kurt Stenberg at the wheel. The Pioneer DJ learned to DJ Commodore. From our neck of the woods, over in the west, he did actually make it out for the Bunnings Trade Perth Super Night this year. Was just being a bit of a race fan, enjoying the action. Saw him on the grid. So massive supercars fan. Grew up in the 90s. Get this though, he's born in Perth. Supercars fan during the 90s. Who should he be going for? Goes for Scafey.
Yeah, well, I only started in 98. So
he was 3 when he started, but Scafey's same time, you know, same career.
He's pretty popular. Pretty popular lad is our Mark Scaife.
I would have had him surely rid for kid.
He was doing a bit of winning around that period of time, Chad, so it's a bit like all you Hawthorn supporters out there in the AFL or Geelong supporters jump on bandwagons when the team's going well.
He's running James Golding's number tonight, the 31. It's been an interesting look through the field as to who's running what livery and which number that they're running tonight. Stenberg tries to get himself up inside the shootout. He currently sits 16th position. Some fast laps ending here. Any movers and shakers getting themselves inside the 5? Not quite. Cooper Webster is the man just outside for now.
Not seeing too many improvements, as Jonathan mentioned, with the track temperature going up. And more so, I would say, more of these games going on with track positioning. Cars starting to trip over each other as they look for that elusive slipstream.
The other driver changes that we've had tonight as well as we check out Jordan Caruso running up the back straight. We do have Jordan Boyce joining the field tonight. He'll be driving in car number 100 a little bit later on in the evening. He'll actually be driving this weekend at the OTR Super Sprint as well as a wild card. We've also got Cooper Murray, so Carrera Cup champion, joining the field tonight, and he'll be at Brad Jones Racing, stepping in for Macaulay Jones. Keeping us on our toes. It's Jared Philsell now with the green sector. So personal best, can he close the gap? Dane Warren, the only driver in the 5s. He's gone 105.981. Oh, lets it slip a little bit on the curb.
Oh, no, he's aborted that one, straight to the pit lane. That middle sector wasn't there, so.
This is the guy that needs to improve. He sits 6th. He needs to find about 300ths of a second, Garth. Not a lot.
300ths will put him very safe. So tight. Cooper Webster runs in the S5000 Championship. Big open wheeler, V8 powered cars.
Oh, good last sector.
Purple last sector, but not there in the first sector. A couple of tenths away in the first sector and the middle sector. So
that's like the fish just nibbling away, isn't it? That bait. Just okay. There's a bit there still.
It encourages you for this next run. So you know the speed's in there. You just got to string the lap together. But when it's so tight like this, you're looking for such little margins that it's easy to overextend in key parts of the circuit. I think the first sector is the trickiest, where you need to fly the curb there at 1. We're on an out lap here, but then aiming it at the curb here at 2 and getting the car to fly nicely across the curb at 2 and 3 and land at 3, so you can set up the drive traction right here off turn 4. That's a critical lap. If you can start the lap nicely there and get a good rhythm in the first sector, it builds so much confidence as you head up the back straight that you can send it nice and deep at Dandenong Road. So it's a circuit I love. It's such a great racetrack.
Corey Shepherd driving in the Repco 100 car tonight. He's got the full boots and all on. It's a proper pedal box, that one.
Heel and toe too, nice.
So he's taking his zoom all the way to the extreme tonight with the foot cam as well. There's got a bit of Cam Waters going on with that foot cam.
Oh, drama at 4.
Trouble.
That's our man,
Shepherd. Looking at the onboard and the footwork, and then wham! And he's got just enough time to get out and get another lap in, but that was at turn 4. Heavy hit. And Cash Converters replay.
Oh, no.
Nowhere to go.
Oh, no. So
I think that was Stenberg he got.
Stenberg, yeah. Had a moment up at 4.
Bit of work to do there. Madison down. He sits 8th ahead of Jackson Suzel and Harslow. And they would have been hoping to get a few of these Brad Jones Racing cars into the shootout. as it stands, they've got the 1 in Jake Burton. And that lap, no improvement. He'll go back in the pits. He's got just enough time to get around and go again. Should be fine. Not much longer to go. 2 minutes, 20 seconds, Jonathan.
Very tightly packed field. Remember last week, Chad, the field spread was about 0.625 seconds from Dane Warren in pole all the way down to Emily Jones in last position. 6:10 separating the field. Here today, 0.635 between Kuznetsov in 19th and Warren on pole. Now the record is 0.609, so we're not far off the record in E-Series history, but that's how competitive this field is. One mistake could set you back almost 10 positions.
Yeah, and completely put you out of the shootout. So Warren's looking pretty comfortable, only guy into the 105s. So lock his name into the top 5 shootout. The Juice will have the work to do. Dunlop colours, Jake Burton sharing with Andre Heimgartner. They're going to feature in podium contention tonight. He just missed out on the podium last week. He was 4th. Teammates may be working together here.
Brad Jones Racing teammates lining up for this final run. So basically now this is it. Once you're on track on a fresh set of tyres coming to the line, this is your final run. So even though you can escape out at the end of the lap easily, you can't just start a lap. You need to prep the tyre, leave pit lane like normal. So this is it. What they have now is their last chance to get themselves inside the top 5.
Early morning start as we check out Andre Heimgartner. I mean, virtually early morning start has meant that the track temp is rising. So now up 2 degrees from where we started about 20 minutes ago. Difficult when the track temp comes up to find the gains. As we go again, last chance for Brad Jones Racing. That's the white entrance down there.
Can't run out there in real life. Lots of marbles out there.
And it makes sense that Burton should be offering the tow here to Madison Down because he's already in the 5.
Yeah, Burton's in the 5. So clearly a team play here. Madison Down in the 14 car, currently 8th. First sector's strong, but not a personal best. But now has the advantage of the slipstream from his teammate, Jake Burton.
The other Jake Maloney, has just gone green to the first sector, so he's on the defensive right now in the Tickford colours, the BP Ultimate car. Fight for that last spot in the shootout. The Brad Jones Racing teammates get it together.
So Burton does a nice job. He's like, how do you get out of the way? Oh, that's right, just drive off the track.
And then potentially give him an extra couple of little kilometres per hour.
I think they may have tripped over each other there right at the end.
Desperate to try and get every last drop of juice out of that toe.
And it didn't work.
Didn't help out after all that. But
6-3 for Madison Down, his best to 6-2.
It was a pretty good attempt at trying to get the toe going. Madison could see the funny side of that one. But for now, it looks like the 5 has been locked in. Dane Warren, Jared Filsell, Jake Burton, Jordan Caruso, Jake Maloney. They look the goods for now.
Job Stewart in the 33 SwiftX Commodore. Doesn't bother finishing that one off.
He's had a rough run. He's down in
18th.
Yeah, 18th. He's a lot quicker than that. He was 14th last week, but he was one of the contenders in the front of the field.
How do you get out of your sim and slam the door in disgust at the end of a
bedroom
qualifying session?
Just slam the bedroom door at the end of that one. So there you go. SwiftX qualifying part 1 is done. I'm looking forward to what comes ahead from here, Garth. So top 5 shootout, and it's all going to rest on the shoulders of Jaden Ojeda. And like you mentioned, no chance to get out there and do laps in that session. He's just got to go out and nail it.
Well, I would have thought you'd be in another session somewhere on iRacing, doing laps, just warming up, making sure you're ready to go, nice and loose and ready to go. So your money would have to be on Brody Kostecki for this one, though, because he was the speed and certainly the 4-man in the All-Stars race at Winton, both in qualifying and the race. Ojeda, he was strong, but certainly not at the same level as Kostecki. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, last time out, Justin Rougier was the only guy that could really run with Brody Kostecki. He's driving with Brenton Hobson, who's missed out. He's down in 13th position. So Andre Heimgartner with a pretty good potential chance here to put Jake Burton up on the front row if he can go quicker than Ojeda.
Yeah, that's right. So Heimgartner 3rd at Winton last time out. So really, really strong. So we saw him watching very closely Jake Burton during that qualifying session, making sure he stayed in the 5. So Andre had a crack for this one coming up.
All right, so what are we most looking forward to, Garth, from the big Enduro tonight?
For me, strategy. How do you play it? So who starts the race? Do you start your pro? Do you start your all-star driver? When do you take your pit stop? How do you play it? 1 stop versus 2. Lots of variables in this one.
Yeah, we did see some long potential chances with the BP Ultimate safety car as well. So stick with us. We're not too far away from lights out here in the E-Series.
Go worldwide, we don't stop. From the bottom to the top, we don't stop. From the burbs to the block, we don't stop. Outside, inside, we don't stop. Global, worldwide, we don't stop. From the bottom to the top, we don't stop. From the burbs to the block, we don't stop. I'm so gifted, prolific, don't miss it. So different, who we kidding? There ain't no competition. I got a proposition for my opposition. Smooth as the horns.
Welcome to round 2 of the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series, where tonight it's all about sharing roles.
That's right, Chad. It's an Enduro, which means the pros and the all-stars share the same car.
Yeah, and they're going to be sharing the championship points as well, which means a mistake by one
Could ruin it for the other.
Synergy and teamwork.
It's the key.
Thanks, Garth.
Thanks, Chad.
We have another new track for you tonight.
Thunder of Supercars at Sandown.
Historic Sandown makes its debut in the E-Series.
Sandown racing action.
Victory Lane in week 1 had a familiar sound to it. Dane Warren, who picks up the first win of the year, and it's Brody Kostecki in the Boost Mobile colours once again on top of the All-Stars. So as we continue on our Australian tour, who has the appetite to take it to the reigning champ?
You got to be fueled, Garth, but I don't think I'll be eating in the cockpit in the real car anytime soon.
Let's get racing at Sandown.
They are 4 wide on the run down the inside to turn 1.
This is the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. Yep, it's Supercars racing at Sandown, but it's not taken too seriously. It's the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series Night 2 co-drivers tonight. My co-driver sits alongside me, Garth Tander. Looking forward to this one. Last week, it was the Dane Warren and Brody Kostecki show, but tonight they're on different teams.
Yeah, and racing against each other at some point, potentially, because it's Enduro night tonight, Chad. So both drivers sharing the same car. One race at Sandown, so looking forward to that. Looking forward to the strategy options that the teams have available to them. It's going to be an interesting night.
We've had SwiftX qualifying already. There's a live look inside all our drivers who are getting ready for tonight. Brody Kostecki's got his race face on at Boost Mobile Racing, and he will be in this top 5 shootout because we've also got more SwiftX qualifying to come, top 5 shootout. So similar to what we see with the big Hardy's Heroes, which then became the top 10 shootout, Armour All shootout these days. It's gone back a long way, yeah, where it all started. So looking forward to seeing a shootout tonight, Garth.
Yeah, look, top 5 shootout. So the pros qualified the cars, but the all-stars now have to go out and do the shootout. So it's effectively like having your main game driver qualify the car and then sticking the co-driver in to go do the shootout at Bathurst. So I'd be up for that, but I don't think they'll change the rules ahead of October. But it's going to be an interesting one.
All right, I love it. Now we're looking forward to seeing some Aussie tracks on iRacing, which is really cool. So Winton last week, Sandown, the home of horsepower as it's called, is our location tonight. And Garth is going to take us for a walk around this historic venue for our Cash Converters course preview.
Fantastic circuit, Sandown. It's one of the old school favourites. Not much has changed there over the years as far as the layout. And it's a great.
It's only 3.1 kilometres in length, but you face challenges at every turn. And we've seen some incredible racing here over the years.
Great round, the crowd are going wild. The Victorian wins it.
Off the start line and into turn 1. We've seen our fair share of incidents here.
Big contact between Van Gisbergen and Di Pasquale.
Turns 2, 3 and 4. On paper, not that hard. But add water and these curbs are just like ice.
Big contact, Moffat spins to the grass.
At the end of the back straight is this famous corner. Turn 6. Over the years, it's claimed many a driver, me included.
Big almighty lock-up for Gartender straight into the fence.
On approach, the cars are doing 270 kilometres an hour. It can so easily go wrong. Right here.
No, Holsworth and Davison. Oh my goodness.
Oh, trouble. Big trouble at the end of the back straight, and that's a terrible incident.
So if you make it through turn 6, then it's all about bouncing over the curbs and making a move up the inside at turn 9.
Now Lockett Skate hold him out. Down the inside goes Jason Richards. Oh, they both go. Oh, no, he's gone into the gravel. Go.
This is a chance. And down there they've hit. They run into each other.
Get through there cleanly, and your next task is to get onto the front straight better than those around you for a big drag race past the crowds in that beautiful old grandstand.
Out of the last corner now. His first ever victory in supercar competition. Well done, Waters.
Yeah, such an awesome venue. It's played host to, of course, Supercars and the Sandown 500 for a very long time, but also World Sports Car Championship back in the 80s. The Australian Grand Prix has been at this track in the past. All the big names like Brabham and Surtees, they've all raced here in Melbourne at Sandown, and tonight we get to enjoy it in iRacing form as part of the E-Series. It's been a track that's been kind to you over the years as well, Garth, and I'm looking forward to seeing you do some laps there potentially this year.
Yeah, do some laps there in a couple of weeks' time in the co-driver session ahead of the Supercars event there at the next round, not the Bend this weekend, the following one. But this was not a bad weekend at the races, winning the Sandown 500. So
yeah, 2016, and
yeah, had a little aero modification on the car in the last stint of the race. But
it just never wanted to completely come away from the car, did it?
No, you actually. There was a lot of controversy over that one with whether we should have been black flagged or whatnot. But after the race, the guys just tried to rip it off as if you would do in a pit stop. You couldn't get the thing off, so it certainly wasn't going anywhere. All
right, so tonight iRacing action takes us to Sandown. We're not too far away from our SwiftX Fast 5. The top 5 shootout is coming up tonight, and this is where it's going to be at the home of horsepower, Sandown. So stick with us. We are not too far away from going racing tonight. Thanks for joining us. It's night number 2, the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Cash Converters.
Andre Heimgartner on screen here in the R&J Batteries Brad Jones racing entry.
Hold on, where's the pit crew? What's he stumbled upon here? Looks like the boys are having a bit of fun with their new toy. Get a gaming super bargain at Cash Converters. Click and collect or shop online with a 90-day warranty on most items. Cash Converters, life made possible.
Unreal value just got better at Pizza Hut. Pick up our new range from just $3. Enjoy delicious new sides like flame-grilled meatballs. Hey, Dougie, mate, this is a pickup ad.
From $3. That's unreal.
Good times, Pizza Hut.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Cash Converters.
Well, we're all set then for Swift X qualifying. Chad Nalon and Garth Tander walking you through Sandown Motor Raceway as we get set for what is going to be an enthralling Fast Five. So it's kind of like the top 10 shootout, only half of them. Easiest way I can
like
explain
10,
it.
but 5.
5, exactly. It's the exact same format, only the pro drivers aren't allowed to drive. So it's actually the pro drivers in real life, but the all-stars in our world, and that includes Zach Best, who's going to be first up. And he is going to be sharing the car for Jake Maloney.
That's a wild mo that Zach Best has got going.
Considering that he is going to be, you know, actually racing for real this week at the Bend. Looks like a character out of Mario Kart with that. He's borrowed the shirt off Bert from BP as well. I reckon it's about 3 sizes too big for him. He's gone for the blue light glasses. All up, it's a pretty out there look.
Well, we're not fashionistas, but
No.
that's not what I'd go with. But anyway, each to their own. If it gets him, makes him go fast, then all power to Zach Best.
Big shout out to our virtual medical crew. That's we had an 86 end up somewhere in that little paddock.
Probably on top of that fire truck, I think it was.
It's about there. Thankfully, everyone was okay on that occasion. It looks awesome, doesn't it? As we get set now for the real deal. So how fast will they go? And that is the big question here tonight. We roll them on out.
So our 5 all-star drivers, they're not going out totally cold. They've been out warming up, if you like, during the break, you know, warm-up session. So they're in the groove. It'd be nice if you could do that ahead of the real shootout, where you could just go out and cut laps and then you go out and do the top 10 shootout. But that's the beauty about being in a virtual world, is you can do virtual different things.
No slipstream games to play. You're out there by yourself. Now, chat on the Discord channel, which everybody's on tonight. And word from his co-driver, Jake Maloney, is he said, win it or bin it. Put it on the pole or bring it back in a crumpled mess. I don't care.
Worst you can do is 5th. Currently 5th at the moment, so you might as well have a dip and have a crack, put a bit of pressure on those ahead of you. So Best comes to the line here. It's been a pretty quick outlap. He's been on it straight away. And starts his lap now.
Away he goes. Get that car all the way over to the right-hand side. I reckon they would have learned a few tricks by just watching that pro session last time out.
That's right, all the pros are out nice and wide down the front straight. Didn't quite get to the curb at 1, but used plenty of the curb at the exit. As he flied over at 2 and 3, missed the curb at 2, so he was in pretty deep there. Massively overcommitted. Good try of traction out of 4 though.
I'm always curious as to whether they're going to use paddles or a shifter. You can use either in iRacing. It's not like the Supercars world where you have to use a shifter. Some guys mix it up, but most go the paddle option. Simplicity.
Yeah, well, you drive the sim differently, you use the gearbox differently. A lot of the time, especially in these slow corners, they'd go down a gear, then right in the mid-corner, they'd grab a gear and go up to save the wheel spin. And Zach Best got plenty of wheel spin there. Actually missed the curb at 7, got up on the exit curb, and then a lot of wheel spin when we were on board. So he's taking the bin-it attitude a little bit here, Zach Best. Not sure that this lap's going to win it, but it's been spectacular. I was always told if you can't win, be spectacular. And Zach Best has done a nice job of that. What does he do? Does a 7.5. So
not bad.
Not the fastest lap we've seen tonight, but certainly one of the more spectacular.
His co-driver put it in the field with a 106.2, just to give you some reference there. If you could be about a second slower than your pro teammate, you're probably doing pretty well, I'd say, tonight. So not a bad effort. Zach, we've got you on the Discord channel tonight, mate. How did you rate that lap?
Yeah, that was shocking. Just stuffed up there, couldn't pull it up at Dandenong Road. So, yeah, a few tenths in it, but I don't think I'm nearly as quick as the other boys.
All right, mate. Best of luck for the race. Best of luck for the Bend this weekend, and best of luck finding a razor before he gets there. He desperately needs to.
Nah, it's all good.
lob the top lip off, I reckon. It's all the rage at the moment. The pencil-thin moustaches. It's very Top Gun.
Must work in different circles. Chad. Jake Kostecki comes to the line aboard his 56 tradie Mustang.
Oh, what's he doing? What's he reaching for?
doing something.
He's got the right hand doing something. He'd be trying to adjust maybe an iPad or a screen that he's got going on. He nearly lost control of the car going to straight line for a moment. That's the corner where he went flying off the track last year in Armour qualifying with a brake bias issue. Got this thing stopped down at turn 2. No brake bias issue today, hopefully, for this car. You can adjust all these things
you can
on the steering wheel.
Preset buttons on your steering wheel that you can set yourself. So you have your steering wheel configuration totally set up the way you like it. And a lot of the drivers do adjust the brake bias corner to corner, like we see in the supercars with the cockpit adjustable brake biased systems that they have. Flies the curbs nicely at Dandenong Road. Does he get it stopped? Bit of rear locking, but does get the curb at 7. A good drive traction off. So Jake Kostecki, a much more controlled lap than what we saw from Zach Best. How's he finished this one off?
With the flappy paddles going.
Yeah, good drive traction, came off nice.
107.5, the time to beat, and he does it comfortably. Into the 6s.
Oh, bit of an expression session afterwards too.
And that car is going back in a bit of a heap. Hit the escape button and pull it right out of there. And here's your new pole sitter, 106.9. And he's done a nice job at putting that to the top of the session. Doing a nice job for Tickford as well. Got the blue light glasses on today as well. And for now, he'll be sitting on our SwiftX pole position in the tradie car, sharing with Jordan Cruz. So we've got him on the line right now. Jake, how did you like that lap, mate? You've gone to the top. Well done, buddy.
Hey, Chad. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I was just thinking of Darwin turn 1 in my head going into there, so I'm glad I got to it clean.
Well done, mate. Another shootout lap of experience up your sleeve, so best of luck tonight.
Thanks for that, guys. Cheers.
It was cool to see him make a shootout, and he did go full send at Darwin.
He's got it wrong way around. You go full send in the sim, and then you take it a little bit safer in the race car.
It was cool to see him have his first real-life shootout, followed up by, I believe, his first iRacing shootout as we switch our attention now to Andre Heimgartner, and this guy can just about do no wrong at the moment. He's doing very well in the real world, and he even put it on the podium last week in the E-Series as well.
Flies the curbs at 2 and 3.
Nice.
The most curb we've seen at 2 so far. Chat with Andre in our qualifying show earlier, and he was saying just how different it is in iRacing, how the car reacts from the curbs. Sort of as a race car driver, you have a preconceived idea of the reaction from the curb, and Andre was saying that's a little bit different in iRacing. You just got to get your head around that a little bit, but a nice job at 2 and 3. See what he's like the run down Dandy Road.
There are parts of the racetrack where you're not allowed to run too wide. That's one of them at the exit there at turn 9. If you take too much of the exit curve, you lose your lap. You're also not allowed to put any wheels on the grass or hit any fences in a qualifying lap. They'll have it instantly disqualified. Nice, up on that curb. Back onto the front straight.
Looking at these sectors, fastest first sector, fastest second sector, fastest third sector.
Nice lap.
Andre Heimgartner at 6.5. So he goes to the top.
That's a really good lap.
4 tenths quicker than Jake Kostecki.
That's up there with the pro pace from Andre Heimgartner. So he's doing a nice job at the moment, and that is a pretty sizable lap time to go and beat, a 106.57. And they'll be looking pretty good tonight, him and Jake Burton, his teammate, with his real-world engineer and Tony Woodward working on them as well. Hey, Andre, really nice lap. Did you get the most out of that one?
Definitely not. Yeah, it's pretty average. I think probably about 3 or 4 tenths away from where I needed to be. Just the old sim racing, mate. The heart rate goes up, the hands tense up. It's just so different to the real thing. And yeah, just nuffed it a bit in the second part of that lap.
All right, best of luck for the race, mate.
Cheers, thank you.
All right. So that shows you that there's plenty more speed out there than if he reckons that a 6.5 isn't that good.
Yeah, he reckons 3 or 4 tenths. So that's sort of 6.1 territory where our pros were in the sort of top 3 pace. So Brodie Kostecki, who was very, very fast in the pre-shootout warm-up session that we were watching during the ad break. So be interested to see what Kostecki's got for us. He was super fast at Winton and is proving to be one of the real guns here at Sandown as well.
Strategy will open up nicely for them tonight, given that he has so much speed. He'll be able to potentially go longer than the minimum 17-lap requirement, which gives you lots of flexibility with strategy tonight. just like it does in the real world. The faster your co-driver, the more flexibility you have in strategy.
Yeah, the deeper the all-star driver can go into the race, the better the tyre condition is for the pro in the last part of the race. So you can split the race exactly in half, or even go a bit deeper, go the long strategy early, then that puts you in a really strong position for the second part of the race. But we've got the race ahead of us. We're concentrating here on qualifying. Kostecki's fastest in the first sector. Looking at our timing screens, he's fastest in the second sector. He's just got to finish off this final complex, the corners.
He was very fast in our shootout that we had back in the original All-Star E-Series back in 2020. He just looks so cool. Can he get into the fives? That would be impressive. The lap time. It's a 1:05.8, quickest time of the night. That's even quicker than Dane Warren's outright pole lap set earlier in the night. So that is an absolute go fetch time. And go pick that one out the back of the net. That was a huge lap from Brody Kostecki. Wow, Brody a 5 and a very quick one at that. That's the quickest lap of the night. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Didn't crash, so I was pretty happy with that.
So there's a bit of pressure on your shoulders as the real world drivers being a co-driver. How do you reckon tonight's going to go?
Yeah, it'd be pretty interesting. I think Jared and I are obviously a pretty good pairing, and I do this probably a bit more than what some of the other guys do. So should be a good night for us if everything goes to plan. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the Boost Mobile Commodore throughout the night.
All right, mate. Good luck. Go get him.
Thank you.
They'd have to be the short price favourites, I get the feeling, tonight.
Well, based on that time,
wow,
5.8, quicker than what Dane Warren was able to do in the Pro Series qualifying. Now, Jaden Ojeda. Check out this setup. A full wraparound screen, so not lacking for hardware as Ojeda.
Yeah, that's the full projector setup. There's all different ways you can do it. You can have triple screens, you can have curved screens, projectors, virtual reality, whatever you want. And here we go. It's a PC-based system, iRacing. That car looks a little bit squirmy under brakes down at turn 1. How much curb can we get through tricky turns 2, 3, 4? A little bit there.
Nice.
Doesn't have to go and beat the time of Brody Kostecki, but a front row start would be just exactly what Dane Warren needs. Championship leader in the Pro Series. Walkinshaw and Andretti United never been beaten in this series. They are the defending champions year after year. Whether it was Dane Warren or Josh Rogers a few years back. Could tonight be the night that we see change in that championship lead?
Jada over the curbs nicely, the run down Dandenong Road. Looking at the sectors on our timing screen though. A little bit away from what Brody Kostecki laid down. Starting to look around the Jake Kostecki Zach Best position for Ojeda. So how does he finish this lap? Comes off the final corner nicely, takes the shortest run to the line. And where does that put him?
Time comes through, 6.8.
Nice, strong
Not
last
bad.
sector.
Not bad at all. And it might not be the quickest, but it's given these guys a chance at least later tonight for Dane Warren to run at the front of the field. And I think Dane Warren will be pretty happy seeing that lap time pop up, knowing that they're going to be a row or two a little further up the order. And for Jaden Ojeda, that is job done, at least part 1. Still got the big points paying race yet to come. And did a nice job in his wildcard appearances too earlier in the year. Jaden, well done, mate. Are you feeling the pressure? Because it was Chaz Mostert last year and it's all up to you tonight.
Yeah, I've got a bit to hold for Dane. I'm trying to hold it down and keep it together. But yeah, those two boys in front were pretty quick and quali. But that was the best lap I've done around Sandown on iRacing. So happy to get it when it counts.
Well done, mate. And looking forward to seeing how you go in the race tonight. We'll let you get your race face back on.
Thank you. I'll try to hold it down.
All right, Jaden Ojeda sharing with our championship leader at Walkinshaw and Andretti United, but it is going the way of Boost Mobile Erebus tonight. They were second coming into the SwiftX shootout, and Brody Kostecki getting the job done, not just with the quickest lap in the top 5 shootout, but the quickest lap of the night so far, going quicker than Dane Warren's 105.9. He goes 105.86, and that was a lap absolutely from the top draw. Brody Kostecki, Boost Mobile Racing are going to be starting tonight from the pole thanks to SwiftX. $200 worth of Bitcoin will go the way of Jared Philsell, and they'll be happy to take that pole award away from Walkinshaw and Andretti United, and it sets up the night beautifully with 300 points up for grabs. Strategy, safety cars, endurance mode, co-drivers, there's lots to think about as we get set to go racing. Stick with us, we're not too far away from going lights out at Sandown.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Repco, driven by passion for 100 years.
A lot of history hidden in this place. Bit of elbow grease, splash of racing. Eleanor, and 100 years later you've got this. A place driven by passion. Some people call us car nuts, rev heads. Reckon we've got 10W30 running through our veins. But the truth is, everyone at Repco has an unexplainable bond with motoring. The journey's been a ride. From navigating open roads to wrangling uncharted tracks. For 100 years, we've been driven by passion. What happens in the future? Well, you'll have to wait and see.
Unreal value just got better at Pizza Hut. Pick up our new range from just $3. Enjoy delicious new sides like flame-grilled meatballs. Hey, Dougie, mate, this is a pickup ad.
From $3. That's unreal.
Andre Heimgartner on screen here in the R&J Batteries Brad Jones Racing entry.
Hold on, where's the pit crew? What's he stumbled upon here? Ah, looks like the boys are having a bit of fun with their new toy. Get a gaming super bargain at Cash Converters. Click and collect or shop online with a 90-day warranty on most items. Cash Converters, life made possible.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Repco, driven by passion for 100 years.
That's what's coming tonight. We're racing at Sandown. There'll be pit stops, there'll be strategy, and there'll be lots to think about as we get set for round two. It's worth 300 points as well. So if you get it wrong tonight, it's going to have huge championship ramifications. All right, before we dive into the racing tonight, we've got lots to unpack in both the virtual and real supercars worlds. I want to take you back first to Townsville because it's been the big moment that everyone's talking about. I can't wait to get to the bend so we can see what the latest is going to be in this chapter. Garth, talk us through the ending at Townsville.
Well, Anton sent it from about 100 metres back on Shane van Gisbergen at the final corner, the final lap of the race. And Shane van Gisbergen didn't take the opportunity that Anton did allow for the redress. So Anton probably at this point realised, yeah, no, that was my fault, and tried to readdress it before they got to the end of the race, which was the last corner of the last lap. So Anton tried to slow up. Shane wasn't up for it. He made sure he finished second so that Anton copped the penalty.
Now, we've heard of art imitating life, but I've never really thought about gaming imitating the real life racing because we had something very similar play out last week. If you caught the racing, you may have seen Tom Randall get into the side of Matt McLean, unloads him on the last lap of the race.
Last lap, turn 3.
Yeah, and then he pulled up at the finish line, and I reckon that's probably what Shane van Gisbergen wanted to do.
That's another option that could have played out at Townsville. But the thing about doing it in iRacing is that there's no mechanics have to work for the next 3 weeks rebuilding race cars. So Matt McLean, you think Tom Randall pretty much knows where he stands with Matt
Yeah.
McLean going into tonight's race.
They finished 15th and 16th.
Yeah, well, it's big sheep stations for those positions back there in the E-Series, Chad.
Now, that wasn't the only exciting thing that Tom was doing. If you caught last week's coverage, I think the big highlight for everybody was watching Tom get stuck into a juicy pad thai before he unleashed it.
It's quite upmarket, really, for an E-Series race, eating pad thai before you go green.
It's not too bad, and it's got me wondering. I wonder exactly what might be on the menu tonight. So we've come up with a brand new E-Series segment, which is called... What's Top Eating? Oh, yeah, this is some good content right there, okay? So this brand new game, there is Tom right now. Garth and I have to guess what he's having for dinner tonight, and because I'm a gentleman, Garth, I'm going to let you have first guess.
Just before we guess, did you do that intro thing on your iPhone or something like that?
That's pretty impressive.
Pretty high quality production
Took
stuff.
all my Photoshop skills.
What is Tom eating tonight? Well, he went pad thai last week, and I think that even though you're in the sim, that would play on your guts a little bit, I think. So you want something a little bit softer. Maybe like a Hawaiian pizza.
Ooh, a bit of ham and pineapple, you reckon, from Pizza Hut would be not a bad option.
Yeah.
I am going to go something right out of left field. I remember we had a night where Chaz Mostert was getting stuck into some tacos on the series.
That'll play with your stomach.
Yeah,
I hope Tom hasn't got the motion on his simulator tonight.
He's going to be saying, mate, I needed the first stint. I'm not going to go into too much detail why.
Can we find out?
All right.
Find out?
What is Tom eating tonight? What even is that? Lasagna? Lasagna is the answer with salad.
Lasagna I can cop, but the salad's only there for our benefit. He's
not
only
gonna eat
put
that.
the salad on there so we think he's eating healthy.
A giant piece of lasagna as well, just quietly.
I reckon that's definitely your frozen lasagna jobby too. That's been out of the microwave for 90 seconds and then straight on that plate with some dodgy salad.
That's the kind of content that you only ever see here on the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. He's going to be a little bit heavier when he does the first stint. Tonight, everything's a little bit lighter tonight on the E-Series. Stick with us. We're going racing on the other side of this.
Call me the revolution. Teach the class, no substitution. Greatest of all time, no disputing. Mercy's over, it's time for retribution. I'm your king, you must obey all challengers. You got to pay, I'm too fast, too fly, too flaunted, too gas, too high, yeah, we on it. We go wherever the crew going.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Shure. Sound extraordinary on and off the track.
A lot of history hidden in this place. Bit of elbow grease, splash of racing. Eleanor, and 100 years later you've got this. A place driven by passion. Some people call us car nuts, rev heads. Reckon we've got 10W30 running through our veins. But the truth is, everyone at Repco has an unexplainable bond with motoring. The journey's been a ride, from navigating open roads to wrangling uncharted tracks. For 100 years, we've been driven by passion. What happens in the future? Well, you'll have to wait and see.
Andre Heimgartner on screen here in the R&J Batteries Brad Jones Racing entry.
Hold on, where's the pit crew? What's he stumbled upon here? Looks like the boys are having a bit of fun with their new toy. Get a gaming super bargain at Cash Converters. Click and collect or shop online with a 90-day warranty on most items. Cash Converters, life made possible.
The Cash Converters Supercars E-Series is proudly brought to you by Pioneer DJ. Join the revolution.
Round 2, the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. We are racing at Sandown. Now it's endurance mode. There's lots of rules. There's lots of strategy. There's lots to get our head across. So we're going to welcome in our virtual pit reporter, Jonathan Simon, for our Shannon's Race Facts tonight. Jonathan, what have we got coming our way?
It's going to be a big race, the second Enduro that we've had. We had one at Bathurst last year. It was good fun. If you remember back to 2019, we had an Enduro as well over at Mount Panorama. But for the first time outside of that circuit, it's Sandown today. Race 2, a combined race in the championship for your Pro and All-Stars. 41 laps of action, 50 minutes if we need to go time certain. Take note of that pit transit time you'll see up on screen. 16.2 seconds for a trip through pit lane. 30 seconds in total for that virtual driver change. Yes, at the click of a button, we switch between your Pro Series driver and your All-Star virtually, of course. Fuel and tyres, drivers will need to take on that, of course, too. Around Sandown, 3.1 kilometres, 13 corners, 6 braking zones, 16 metres of elevation change across here, including the big hot spot on that run down to turn 6. Remember, Todd Hazelwood had a massive accident there a few years back. 300 championship points awarded. That split amongst your 2 winners today for each of their respective championships. And don't forget, look at those pit windows. There's an all-star driver rule, Chad Garth. It means the all-star needs to complete 17 laps at a minimum. That's 40%, meaning we're expecting all teams to pit between laps 17 and 24.
All right, thank you very much, Jono. So, yeah, that is really the key ingredient to this one, Garth, making sure that you get your pit stop right around the minimum driver laps for your All-Star.
Yeah, that's right, but that doesn't mean that your All-Star has to start and then you stop on lap 17. You can do work from the back end of the race, so you could potentially put your Pro driver in, try and build a gap, and then put your All-Star in for the last 17 laps and hope that they hang on. So plenty of strategy options to play out.
There are the drivers kitting up and expect to see plenty of the All-Stars starting at the front of the field for this one as we roll out our truck assist starting grid. And well done to Kostecki and Philsell on the pole. Heimgartner and Burton will be starting on the front row tonight. So Erebus versus Brad Jones Racing. Then it's the championship leader, Dane Warren, sharing with Jano Jada. Jake Kostecki sharing with Jordan Caruso tonight. That's not Michael Caruso. We then go back to the combo of Best and Maloney, and Jackson Walls is sharing with Cooper Webster. They both have real-world experience, so watch out for Team 18. Maxwell and Gardner will be coming out of position number 7 for this one. That's a nice effort from Gardner. A big first improvement alongside another Brad Jones Racing car. Driver change here. Cooper Murray hops in tonight, and another driver change in Jordan Boyce, who's sharing with Corey Shepherd. Watch out for Jack LeBrock and Andrew Gilliam, driving for the Truck Assist colours. Pizza Hut for Cameron Crick and Brodie Myers. Second in points and a lot of work to do tonight. Justin Rougia in the All-Stars. And watch out for Clay Richards as well at a track where his family have had plenty of success in the past. He's been eating lasagna and he's starting 15th. It's Tom Randall, and alongside him, a driver change there as well with Emily Jones out. Kurt Stenberg now in that car. And then Vaughan, Anderson, Cox and Stewart starting out of row number 9. And at the back, it's Matt McLean. And he is going to be with Rick Kuznetsov. And we're hearing, Garth, on our Truck Assist grid that we have gone strategy option A the entire way down the field. So the All-Stars are at the helm, very much like what it used to be. The co-drivers starting the Sandown 500.
Yeah, that's a little bit boring, isn't it? They've all gone the same strategy. So Now, a little bit interesting to see how far into the race they go.
Here we go then. Endurance mode, round 2. Cash Converters Supercars E-Series. Can Brody Kostecki get that run down to the first corner? Heimgartner is keeping him honest, but Kostecki has probably just enough to get down the inside, and his cousin Jake Kostecki trying to follow him through. Can we see Kostecki 1-2 at the front of this field as Heimgartner shuts the door on second place, but it's the perfect start for the Boost Mobile team as Jake Kostecki sideways, and Ojeda is in the fence. Championship leader for the pros is in big trouble. There's more in the background. Corey Shepherds, Clay Richards, and a few others caught up in that one. It's actually Jordan Boys in that Repco 100 car. So chaos at the back of the field has taken some big names out of potential championship contention at the early stages of this race.
Ojeda got a terrible launch off the line, so he'd lost 3 or 4 spots before we'd even got to turn 1, and then it got a whole lot worse for him at the exit of 3. We saw in the background his car going around, but Brody Kostecki, who got a great launch into 1, and it was Kostecki versus Heimgartner for that run down to turn 1, and Kostecki learnt from round 1 at Winton where he sent it too deep at turn 1 at the start. He was much more controlled, and Jake Kostecki sent it nice and deep up the inside at 1. Nearly got past Andre Heimgartner. So now, Kostecki in the Boost Commodore starting to open a small gap. He was so fast in qualifying. Fastest lap of the night. Pros or All-Stars, thank you very much. And he's got real form. I think with Sandown being new to the iRacing game, there's not a lot of historical setup information. Don't forget we're running open setups in the championship now. So in the past it's been a control setup. You just drive the setup that the series provides for you. But because it's a new circuit, new layout, new to iRacing, there's not been a lot of testing, if you like. So not a lot of information. So it's given Brody a real heads up against the pro drivers tonight. Let's have a look at this replay. Oh, there's plenty going on at the back.
It's our first instant cash moment of the night. And that was Cameron Crick pushed off the road, and then there was more going on at the exit, and there is Ojeda's car. So he had gone hard into the fence at that point.
So I think it's the Repco car. I think Shepard gets into the back.
Yeah, it's Jordan Boys at the wheel at the moment.
And big damage.
So the 2 wild cards in real life getting into it.
Get it out of your system tonight, boys, before the weekend.
A few more guys caught up in that one. Zach Best, speaking of wild cards, was involved in that one, and Dane Warren.
Not much he can do right now.
Yeah.
Just has to watch on.
At least it probably wasn't Jaden's fault, that one.
No. But did put himself in a tough spot with that launch off the line. It was one of the cars I was watching as the lights went out. And Ojeda lost at least 3 spots before turn 1.
Now Brody Kostecki is putting the hammer down. 2-second lead as we go further back in the field. Is that Rougia up to 7th already?
Yes,
oh my goodness. He's flying.
+5.
Wow,
+6 if you don't mind from the start of the race. So managed his way through all that drama at turns 2 and 3 on the opening lap nicely. A little bit of damage to the front of the Cash Converters Commodore, but you'll take that with that sort of launch up through the field. So Rougier, who was second to Brody Kostecki at Winton in round 1, got himself back in the game nicely already in the early stages of this one.
Tom Randall's up plenty of spots at the start of this one, so he's been keeping James Courtney's car out of trouble. He's in the Snowy River Caravans colours tonight, sharing that one with Wayne Burke. Rougier wants more here. He's putting the pressure on. And this has been a big start, and potentially, Jonathan, big championship ramifications as well.
Yeah, definitely. Jaden Ojeda is going to try and bring that car home as best as possible and in one piece. Now, every team is allowed what's called an instant cash repair by Cash Converters. They can take that at the pit stop, and that repairs the car fully. They're allowed those throughout the race, but do you want to take that pit stop early? And the Walkinshaw boys have elected not to. So Jaden Ojeda has to drive a crippled car, one that looks beaten up and banged, all the way to lap 17, and they're going to lose a lot of time. By the way, on that incident as well, Jordan Boyce was given a drive-through penalty for it too.
Aha, and that would explain why he has headed down pit road. 17 seconds taken up as Tom Maxwell is putting the pressure on here right now, and typically drives for Matt White Motorsport in the Dunlop Series. Interestingly, driving with the Groves here this weekend and throughout the course of the Supercars E-Series.
To Jonathan's point, I'm just looking at lap time. So Brody Kostecki's best lap so far is a 106.6, if you don't mind. That's pretty speedy early in the race. Jaden Ojeda, 107.7, so he's losing over a second a lap to Brodie Kostecki. So the two championship battling cars, the Boost Mobile Commodore and the Walkinshaw Andretti United Commodore, certainly at different phases of this race have found themselves well apart, and a big job for Dane Warren ahead of him. Once that car gets the pit stop, that cash converter's quick repair done to the Walkinshaw car, he's going to have a ton of work to catch up to Jared Filsell in the second half of this one.
Yeah, it's all about damage limitation for him tonight as we ride on board with Cooper Webster. Cooper Murray, I should say. We've got two Coopers in the field. This is Cooper Murray, who's driving at Brad Jones Racing. Cooper is a former winner of Carrera Cup in Australia, drove successfully with McElrea Racing. Sadly not seeing him do too much on the tour this year, but cool to see him back in the All-Stars as the sun comes out at Sandown. We do have dynamic weather.
Rare occurrence, sun coming out of Sandown.
That's the most unrealistic thing I've seen all night.
The rest of it's fantastic, but the sun never comes out at Sandown. iRacing taking a few liberties there.
The fight is on here as well.
Great to see Cooper Webster back competitive, some sort of competitive sport, motorsport, because he is a lost talent to circuit racing. He is seriously fast peddler, and was looking like he was on the fast track to doing some big things, and it just hasn't gone his way this year, as you said, Chad, not doing any racing at all. So need to see Cooper back in a race car sometime soon, because he can certainly pedal nice and fast.
There's a bit going on in this battle back ahead of him right now. He'll have a full windscreen. Is that just a Rougier?
I wonder if it's Rougier now starting to just back the pack up a little bit with that damage on the front cash converter's car.
Yeah, he should be a little bit faster than this.
Yeah.
So maybe bent steering, that does happen.
You can see the front splitters, looks like it's pushed over a little bit as well. So potential there for not having the speed that we expect from Rougier. You'd expect him to make short work of Jackson Walls and Aaron Borg.
Having said that, Jackson Wall's doing a really nice job, as is Aaron Borg actually. So Carrera Cup racer, and here comes Rougier with the big send to the inside, a little bit too far.
Deep.
Couldn't quite get that one pulled up in time.
No foul though.
Yeah, that's Jackson Walls that he's fighting in the Newlon Team 18 colours, a winner in Carrera Cup up in Townsville.
It's Cooper Murray, nice move up the inside. Thomas Maxwell into turn 2, and Maxwell now finds himself under threat from Bradley Vaughan in the Cool Drive Mustang.
Yeah, Super 3 driver versus Super 2 driver here.
Running the low downforce kit on the Cool Drive car. It's got no rear wing on it.
It'd be a bullet down the back straight. Not so good across the top, you would expect. He's got Jack LeBrock for company in the Truck Assist colours. One interesting thing that's had to happen here is with not so many of the main game drivers electing to run in the E-Series, is we've seen other teams start selecting real-world drivers, and actual real relationships are starting to form. So
you dead set think there's something going on with Thomas Maxwell and Groves, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, they had him at a drive day. Here he is now driving for them in the E-Series.
More to it than just sticking him in for the E-Series.
I think there's, and for Brad Vaughan, what a great opportunity to connect with the Blanchards as well.
That's great. So it's good commercial opportunities, good relationship opportunities for young drivers, using the E-Series to foster those relationships. There's a bit going on here.
That's aggressive.
It's Cooper Webster looking up the inside of Cooper Murray.
Yeah. Well, this is where it's hard. So it's Cooper Murray chasing the car that Cooper Webster is going to be driving. It's too many Coopers going on here. In a race that was probably won by a Mini Cooper once upon a time as well here at Sandown. So it's, Jackson Walls in there as well in these Newlon colours. So Brodie Kostecki's in a race of his own at the moment, nearly 5 seconds clear of the chasing pack. Andre Heimgartner doing a nice job, though, banking plenty of points. We don't really know what's coming our way next week for the Fans' Choice event either. And there's another Enduro still to come. So
still plenty to play out in this championship. Andre's got the flashes going. I don't think they work that far up the road, Andre.
I'm coming for you,
There must be some seriously bright lights in those headlights. They can get 5 seconds up the road to Brodie Kostecki and put him off his game, but hey, why not try everything you can when you've got to close the gap 5 seconds?
There's something happened to Brad Vaughan there because he's fallen off the back of the pack that he was fighting with recently.
There's a bit going on down in the background in the run down to turn 1 as well.
Oh, yeah, that was Randall and LeBrock, and I think they both ended up off the road. And potential retribution.
I think there's a bit of square up going on there.
You get the feeling Tom Randall's making plenty of friends this year in the E-Series. Jack LeBrock cares not for what he's eating tonight. And he is got square with what happened down there at turn 1. Matt McLean will be desperately trying to catch the back. So Brad Vaughan got into the back of a man who DJs in real life, James Golding, and then he also got his comeuppance in the exit.
Could you imagine Craig Baird, the Repco Supercars Championship driving standards observer? So this is down at Dandenong Road, so this is taking them half a lap between Thomas Randall and Jack LeBrock, who's well off the outside. And then this carries on. Randall again inside of. So Jack LeBrock just says, righto, mate, I've had enough of you.
We're all for that level of
hard in the gas, so it's all fine in the E-Series. I don't want to see any of that stuff in the real world, but
I think this is an outlet for them to get it out of their system.
It's a good venting process, isn't it?
Probably make Craig Baird's life a lot easier if he didn't have to worry about drive-throughs. Just let the boys very NASCAR style.
Go American style. Just have at it.
What's a drive-through? So that's really revved up the mid-pack for a while. Zach Best trying to get his way back through the pack. Did a nice job in the SwiftX shootout, but unfortunately lap 1 dramas. He's up the inside of Matt McLean. McLean gives him plenty of room, although wants to argue the point. Oh, they're going to rub as well down the back straight here. When we go racing here...
if Matt McLean thinks that's Thomas Randall, because Randall was in the BP Mustang last week.
He actually might do.
He'd go, right, I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to fix him up. Poor old Zach Best has no idea what's going on.
That's a good point. Someone needs to tell him it's not Tom Randall. You don't owe him one.
Maybe that's also Tom Randall's strategy, is to be in a different coloured car every week so they don't know where he's at. So
he's going to rock up in a car that's bright pink next week.
It's like, where's Wally? It's like, where's Tom?
We've got what's Tom eating and what car's he driving. They're the 2 new segments coming our way. Matt McLean in this beautifully presented Shaw Racing car, a sponsorship deal that has real life trickle on as well into his band as well, which is pretty cool.
Funky white headphones as well.
Pretty out there. And since he is our Shaw sponsored driver, he's the perfect driver to give us some Shaw sounds of the game.
Watching the feedback of the hands on the steering wheel as the car jumped across the curbs. Here it turned, well, just got to be careful, I had to jump more across the curb at 2 and 3.
Jordan Cox out of nowhere.
Here's left of screen out of nowhere. It looked like he'd been on the horse racing track. Came back on the racetrack. But I was watching Matt McLean's when we took that onboard lap, just the way the car reacted off the curbs and the kickback through the steering wheel. So accurate the way that they've modelled the way that the cars behave and react from the curbs. It's really, really impressive. So close to the real thing. It's very immersive. I found when I did some racing in iRacing that it was almost like the real thing. After you'd finished the race, you were so hyped up you couldn't go to bed. And it's just like racing. Like if you race on a Saturday, you often struggle to go to sleep on a Saturday night. And I found the same in E-Series when we did the E-Series, that you do a race and you're so amped up because the feeling that you get, the inputs that you get, creates the same stimulus in the brain that when you're driving the real car. It's so realistic. They've done such a great job with it.
It's so realistic that I hopped on and did some laps at Sandown today. I've got to see.
And you were miles off the pace, Chad.
And I was terrible.
So that is realistic, isn't it?
And then if I was still in real life, I'd be terrible. So that's how realistic it is.
I think that's got nothing to do with the game, to be honest with you, there, Chad.
Justin Rugia still working away on the back of Aaron Borg, Toyota 86 champion. Very quick in super utes. Love to see Aaron Borg put a drive together. He's been a long-time partner of the Cedars Racing family. It'd be cool to see him have a crack in a Super 3 or Super 2 drive. It feels like the next step for him. Budget and all these things obviously need to be found, but as long as he's earned an opportunity like that. Here we go. This is absolutely on right now.
Going on here.
Brad Vaughan is the meat in this sandwich. James Golding coming on through on the outside. Golding, 2 for 1. Can he do it?
I thought he was going to send it up the inside there. So that's a traditional Sandown move. You can hang around the second last corner, get the inside run into the final corner. So Golding, no doubt, doing a bit of rehearsing ahead of when he returns to Sandown in the Repco Supercars Championship. Oh, that's large. Big style. So Brad Vaughan and Cameron Crick. Big contact down the front straight.
That'll have some steering damage.
I hope the BP Ultimate safety car doesn't make its way out on the track, because I reckon Brad Vaughan's a chance to hit it.
You hit everything else in there, I want you to be perfect. Here it is again, Cash Converters replay.
Just lock wheels. I mean, maybe a little bit unfair on Brad Vaughan there, but just interlock wheels. And Cameron Crick just hard into the barrier.
Bang. So that was the view back from the Pioneer DJ car. James Golding. Not too far away, John, from that pit stop window opening.
I can tell you that Brady Myers, who's going to drive that Pizza Hut car in a few laps, politely asked race control to look at that incident. So hopefully they get what they need with that. Pit window, yes, it opens lap 17. Or do you want to call this quickly, Chad? There's a nice battle going on here between these three. It's going to continue. But quickly, that pit window 17 to 24. I'm expecting Kostecki and Phil Sell to run longer, though, but we're expecting everybody else to pit on lap 17.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Not too far away from that happening then in the next 2 or 3 laps. Golding's putting the moves on. He's got around both these cars at the same corner with the same move.
Oh, you're so careful when you swing out wide to take the race line and leave the door open. For a couple of drivers that have been racing really hard. Brad Vaughan's been going at it.
Jackson Walls has been slowly trickling back through the pack. He's inside the top 5 after making a really nice start. He's back down to 10th. Justin Rougier has been one of the drivers of the race. He's got that car despite potential steering dramas as high as 4th.
Yeah, nice drive. Very nice drive.
Jake Kostecki doing a really good job too, sitting solidly inside the top 3.
Yep, just 5 seconds behind Andre Heimgartner and a couple of seconds up the road from Rougier. So Rougier really plus 9 spots from his qualifying. And to be only a couple of seconds off the podium position right now, it's a nice recovery.
So, put your engineer's cap on for me here, Garth. Brody Kostecki, he only has to do 1 more lap and he could pit at the end of lap 17. Would you pit at the beginning of the pit stop window for the race leader?
No, the beauty of what Brody Kostecki's done in the opening 16 laps of this race, building himself near on a 10-second lead over second place Andre Heimgartner, is it gives you so much flexibility in your strategy, because you can afford for Andre to pit and hand the car over to Jake Burton, and Burton could do 2 or 3 laps and you're still not going to get undercut for the fresh tyre because of that 10-second gap that Kostecki's opened up. So it gives you so much flexibility. And if Kostecki can maintain this consistency, like his last lap was a 7-1 versus his best lap of a 6-6, so his consistency is exceptional. If he can maintain this and take it deep into the race, when he hands the car over to Jared Filsell, he'll be on fresher tyres than anyone else and potentially was still with the race lead. So it's shot to pieces. So the work that Brody Kostecki's done here has set them up beautifully for the second half of this race.
Those are the gaps through the top 3. Rougier still trying to chase down Jake Kostecki, last time by 0.7 of a second quicker. So maybe he'll be right on him by the end of the pit stop window. This first stint that's running all the way down through our top 10. And Brad Vaughan's come in, but by my math, he's come in a lap early.
That's it. Timing screen showing lap 17. So Cool Drive team obviously feel like they wanted to get that stop done as soon as you can.
It says that you have to do a minimum of 17 laps.
Yeah, but does it say you have to do it, or does the leader have to complete 17 laps?
That was the old when the leader starts lap 5, the pit stop window opens rule in super sprint terms. Jonathan, your thoughts on this?
Oh, what a blunder, Chad. Yeah, I'm looking at the same thing. 16 laps on my stint time, and I think that's a huge blunder by them. And they're even doing the driver change. So Josh Anderson has jumped in. Not only that, salt on the wound, they're going to have to driver change again for 1 more lap, which is an extra 30 seconds.
All right, unless they know something that we don't know. That's an unusual strategy call.
They've been caught out on the leader complete 17 laps versus you complete 17 laps, because at that point, Brody Kostecki had crossed the line and he had completed that 17th lap. So
it only started his 17th lap.
No, when it shows 17, you've completed 17. You don't start with 1, do you?
You start on lap 1.
No, you don't. You complete lap 1, Chad.
Oh man, we're gonna have a punch up here in our virtual studio.
Anyway, the rules say that they pitted a lap early and they're gonna have to pit again. So really now, Cool Drive team, they need to hang out for a safety car.
Can someone bring some Tekken 3 in here so Garth and I can duke it out?
Talking about duking it out, Jaden Ojeda.
Have a look at the state of this
Randall.
That's what I'd look like if I went toe-to-toe with Garth in the commentary box. He'd be looking more like the Snowy River car. I'd be missing a rear wing or two. He's done well to recover here as best as he could. Poor guy got fenced pretty hard at the opening of this race. Now pit stops are happening now legally with the number of cars in the field.
So I'm surprised that Walkinshaw didn't pit as soon as they were able to. So potentially just playing it safe and making sure they're well within the pit window.
Well, even now he's getting held up. So.
Yeah, you'd expect now Jaden Ojeda would have to come to pit lane.
Got a good job here working the back.
Dane Warren will be chewing the steering wheel off his sim, wanting to get going here, and they both come to the lane.
So Randall will get out, hand that car over to Wayne Burke. Jaden Ojeda will hand his car over to Dane Warren. The big difference here will be tyre life at the end of this race. If it stays a one-stopper, which we expect, they will have a big tyre deficit to Jared Filsell. Ah, look at that. Cash Converters instant repair. Looks much better already. Justin Rougier has been in the Cash Converters car and has handed that over to Brenton Hobson. Did a nice job getting that car up towards the top 5. Here's your race leader. Oh, this is tight here. Lap traffic to deal with. Now this is where it's going to get interesting with so many cars coming in and out of the pits, and they'll be on fresh tyres too, and they're all pro-ranked drivers, so Brody Kostecki might just lose a little bit of time here.
Look at his last lap time though, Chad. A 7.2 still.
So consistent.
Versus his best of a 6.6. So it'll be interesting now once the pro drivers take over their cars, what lap time they have. So here now, even Kostecki starting to come up on lap traffic that are coming out of the lane. They're on a fresher tyre, so I'd expect that they should be able to drive up the road a little bit. But given Kostecki's speed, they're actually holding him up a little bit here. So currently James Golding is second on circuit, but he's not racing Golding directly. He'll be racing those that have already pitted.
Well, he's still going around, and he's going for one more, Jono.
And remember that pit transit time, 46.2 seconds. So that's the gap that Kostecki and Phil Sell are looking for before they're forced to come into the lane. Now, I'm thinking, and I spoke to the Erebus boys before the race, and they said, hey, we'll run 40 laps and put Jared in for one, if that means Jared will have the freshest rubber for a safety car restart or something else. By the way, I'm not sure if you just mentioned it, but yeah, Tom Randall drove straight through pit lane and completely missed his pit box, and unfortunately that Snowy River racing car's gone in for a second stop. Wayne Burke is in the Mustang now.
Yeah, I thought I caught that.
Yeah, right.
Ojeda and Randall came to the lane. I was like, Randall did this last-minute swerve in pit lane and missed his pit box.
Oh, yeah.
He was, you know what he was doing? Too busy deciding what he's going to have for dessert after the lasagna.
Too busy thinking about the stomach and not busy enough thinking about the pit box.
It's given Wayne Burke a whole heap of work to do. So effectively, Tom Randall gave the car a drive-through, and then they came and took their pit stop. So Wayne Burke finds himself down in 18th with a whole ton of work ahead of him.
Yep, he runs his own simulator business, Tom Randall. That's not the techniques that he teaches you. He teaches you much better racing techniques than that.
You know what's going to be happening at the Tom Randall Simulator School this week? Where to stop in the pit box.
Pit stop practice all week at Dream Simulations out in Dandenong South. Meanwhile, Matt McLean, that's Pizza Hut short crust if I've ever seen it right there. Getting stuck into it. Keeping himself fueled up. Just left a bit of pepperoni just under his lip by the look of it. Maybe an olive.
I'll tell him you said that, Chad.
There it is. Quick check of the socials.
He's texting you to say that again in dead set.
I'll be on his list with Tom Randall.
Brody Kostecki still leads. So the gap to James Golding, who hasn't stopped, is 32 seconds. But the gap to Jake Burton, who has pitted, 57 seconds. So remember, the time that Jonathan Simon was mentioning was around the 46, 47 second transit time with the pit stop. So as it stands right now, Kostecki still holds a near on 10-second lead, corrected over Jake Burton. And his speed still 7 dead on that last lap. Burton on fresh tyre, 7-1. So Kostecki's still making lap time on those that are on a fresher tyre.
And if you're at home wondering, is there a minimum lap for the pro drivers? The answer is no, but there is a rule that says you have to do at least one driver change. So he could pit on lap 40 and hand the thing over if he wanted to. It's not the optimal strategy.
That's the way they used to do it in the Hardy Ferodo 500.
Yeah, back in the day.
Des West won one in the late 60s by doing that, pitting
one lap.
Barry Mulholland did one lap.
Was that 1969 or something?
Bathurst winner.
There you go.
One lap.
That'd be me. That's it. If I'm ever a chance of winning Bathurst.
I'm not sure I'd trust you for one lap, Chad.
I reckon I could.
There's a way that I could do a driver change at Skyline and push you down the hill. That would be the safest option.
That'd be fair. Here's Jake Burton. He's going to do some IRL racing soon. He's been building Hyundai Excel with his partner Emily, which is cool. So they're both going to get out there and get back to racing. They're hoping to do that a little bit quicker, but you know, COVID and such. But has had plenty of experience racing in the past with go-karts and also Toyota 86s.
You have to wonder if there's any Hyundai Excels left out there in the wild that haven't been converted into race cars. It's a bit like the HQ Holdens of the early 90s.
Yeah. When are they coming to iRacing? When are we getting Excels?
Surely. Well, I always thought you meant HQ Holdens.
Oh, both. I'd be happy with either.
We get to have an all-star race in Hyundai Excels on iRacing. That would be worth it. On an oval, that would be worth it.
Now we're talking. I'd actually go all right in that. Can't get ovals wrong, surely. Hoping, got my fingers crossed for an oval when we get into the Fans' Choice event. Love seeing the supercars on speedways, and I get the feeling this guy would go very well given his background of NASCAR, and he wants to do more NASCAR racing in the future, which is pretty cool. Very, very skilled driver on ovals and speedways.
Spent a long time in the States when he was very young, racing over there.
Here we go with car 31 and a driver change happening here. That was the Pioneer DJ car driven last week by Emily Jones. It's back in the hands of Kurt Stenberg, who's a trusty ring-in this week. Got to use your pit lane limiter just like you do in supercars. Got to keep it in first gear. There's a little hack that you can switch between
first second, first second.
They got outlawed pretty quick.
Find a little bit of time.
There was a big hack happening in the Spa 24 hour on the weekend with drivers driving on the grass. Thankfully, that has not happened.
Yeah, I was curious.
This race.
We might see that drivers heading up the back straight, dropping 2 wheels in the grass to cool their tyre.
SVG must have seen that and gone, I did that for real ages ago.
Exactly, 2016 he did that at East Sydney Motorsport Park. I tried it once down the front straight. Scared the life out of me. I didn't do it again.
That's enough of that. Love the curb cam. If you go too far over that curb, you can get the slowdown penalty.
So, just looking, I think Brodie Kostecki is the only car yet to stop. So, just working, out whether it's now fully cleansed the field except for our leader, and that gap first over second remains at 58 seconds. Brodie Kostecki over Jake Burton. So Kostecki making his way through lap traffic and still finding lap time.
So how's our boy Dane Warren going? He's 11th at the moment. Now that car was practically last at the start of the race.
And fast, Chad. So let's looking at his times. His last lap was a 6.8. Fastest on circuit last time by was Dane Warren. So the recovery mission is on for the Walkinshaw Andretti United team.
Got some work to do. They sit 11th for now, Jonathan.
And you know what I found out is that if the standings stay as they are and Dane Warren finishes 11th and scores these points, it'll be the first time since round 1 2019, the first ever E-Series race on iRacing, that a Walkinshaw car will not lead the Pro Series Championship. Remember, it was either Josh Rogers or Dane Warren. It could be Jared Filsell today.
There you go. Madison Down would have been the last non-Walkinshaw driver to lead the championship, and that was night 1 of the E-Series in 2019. We had our live show, and that was only because all the drivers were on the same sims that night. They weren't on their usual setups at home. Yeah, control sim in the series. So that caused a big shake-up of results. That's a hell of a stat. Walkinshaw and Andretti United have led the championship every round since round 1 of the inaugural series back in 2019. And that looks set to go for a change tonight towards Erebus. He would have to get all the way back to the front of the field.
Careful, Chad. Jonathan,
long way to go.
14 and a half laps to go. And I know, Chad, you've been guilty of this in the past, of calling it as it is with plenty of miles left to go in the race. All sorts of things still to play out. Still a pit stop to come for the Boost team.
This is all about damage control for this guy right now. Where can he get to right now on speed? I mean, he's flying at that 6.9 last time by. Only guy that's matching him for speed on that last lap is Madison down in 4th. And there's a big chunk of cars up the windscreen right now for him. Let's try and chase down. The other interesting thing could be late race BP Ultimate safety cars, obviously bunching the field up, but would anyone F1 style looking for a fresh set of tyres? It's going to take you about 27 seconds.
Yeah, but if you come to the lane under safety car, all you do is you'll lose a little bit of track position as far as positioning in the queue, but you'll get that 27 seconds back because obviously under safety car the field gets bunched up. So depending on when that safety car comes, if it comes at all, as to whether you decide to take another set of tyres and go for the fresh tyre and help, whether that can help you launch through the field. That could be an option for Dane Warren to come and grab another set of tyres should a safety car come out, given he's got a reasonable gap behind him. So as he continues to push forward, he's opening up the gaps behind him so he can take that stop and still fall into a gap. Jared Filsell watching on. He doesn't look like he's ready anytime soon to take over control of the 99 Boost Mobile Commodore, does he? Pretty happy watching on.
Hasn't even got his helmet on yet. So he's
got his gloves on though. Hands could catch fire at any stage in that sim. So,
here we go.
In.
All right, so he's more ready than we thought.
Yeah, you've got to be careful. These sim guys, they're pretty relaxed.
Yep. So the pit stop happens, and Filsell will leap to life. What a drive Brody Kostecki led every single lap of this race so far. Did not put a foot wrong.
Had that gap out to near on a minute.
That's a pretty commanding performance.
Jake Burton, so the pit stop takes place. There is a driver change taking place right now.
Believe it or not.
It's one thing in real life we can do faster than iRacing is a driver change. It takes them 30 seconds in iRacing to effectively swap servers, if you like.
Yep.
In racing, in real life, we can get that done in about 15 seconds. Don't have to reset anything either. Just jump in, put the belts on and go.
Straight out. All right, here we go then. Jared Filsell with a big lead and a chance to pull back the championship lead towards Erebus. It's out of the pits. It's Corey Shepherd, I think, a lap down, trying to chase him down. There it is, yep. So would they be the only car off the lead lap now? By my maths, yes.
Yes, I think you're right. We'll wait for the timing screen to filter out. Shepherd was involved in that first lap altercation with Jaden Ojeda. Quite a bit of damage to the Repco Mustang. Filsell up to speed nicely now, getting some temperature into tyres, and that gap's cleansed down to just on 10 seconds over Jake Burton.
And the good news is, even if there was to be a BP Ultimate safety car, they'd have very fresh rubber off the back of a recent pit stop.
Yeah, the freshest tyres in the field right now.
So they're looking good. There's Josh Anderson of the Cool Drive car. He's working the back of Kurt Stenberg, and here comes Dane Warren. He's working away. He's 11th. He can see 10th and 9th up the road. And he's trying desperately hard to get a few more positions before it's too late. All these points matter right now for Dane Warren.
Just look how much more speed, Warren, and look how much more road, just more curb on entry, more curb at apex, more curb at exit. Much more comfortable to run closer to the limit as far as track limits go. So Warren sizing up a run, gets a nice run off the final corner. Anderson used a little bit too much curb at the apex, delayed the throttle pickup. Nicely up the inside, Dane Warren goes. Thank you very much.
That's 10th. Need some more yet. Set his sights on Kurt Stenberg, who's a fill-in for the night. One of a few driver changes in the field. Filling in for Emily Jones. 10 seconds, the lead between Filsell and Burton. Jake Burton putting together a very nice championship as well. Yep. 4th last week, inside the top 3 positions tonight. Also, Jake Kostecki did a really good job at that opening stint. He's handed that car over to Jordan Caruso, who's sitting inside the top 3 spots.
So Warren now having a good look at Stenberg. Catch a replay here at the shore of Commodore. These guys going at it real hard. Job Stewart. Oh, contact. Race controller, look at that one. Job Stewart getting into the back of the 54. As Dane Warren up the inside of Stenberg into turn 1. It's a cut and paste of the move we saw on the previous lap. Does a nice job, runs it up on the curb of the exit of 1 and then takes the position. So Dane Warren now up to 9th.
It's a pretty good comeback.
Very impressive.
Considering where they were. And Jaden Ojeda led a lot of that comeback himself. It was a nice steadying drive from where that car was.
Yeah, they were
A lot of
effectively
damage
second or third last at the end of the first lap. So just going to keep an eye for the remainder of this one of the gap from Dane Warren in 9th to the leader, Jared Filsell. At the moment, it stands 36.5 seconds. So that'll just be an interesting one to keep an eye on as far as the recovery drive continues for Dane Warren. His next target is Cooper Webster, but Webster's a little bit up the road. That's near on 6 seconds up the road is Cooper Webster.
That gap already 11.5 seconds, driving away with a fresher tyre life. 106.8 last time by, only driver in the 6s. Looking comfortable for now.
If you don't mind. Talk about rubbing a bit of salt into the wound.
Just smashing them out there. And that is the difference between having a solid all-star co-driver right there.
Yeah.
Put it on the pole, gave you a 10-second lead.
And I think the difference is that Brodie Kostecki, who openly admits he does a lot on iRacing, that he's able to drive probably the same setup that Jared Filsell drives. So he's able to maximise the setup that they use. Oh,
here we go.
Chad.
BP Ultimate Safety Car has been deployed. And Jared Filsell won't love the side of that, but he'll know at least that he's got fresh tyres underneath him to take the restart. Now, will anyone go for the late pit stop here? Now, if you're Dane Warren, what do you reckon? Give up some track position to get fresh tyres?
Where is he? He's 9th. The gap behind is the one. So if he does it, he had to have done it this lap. So otherwise, once the field bunches up, then there's no point taking it.
Anyone taking the pit stop, Jonathan?
Yeah, Luke Rosella came in the Shannon's car, and also remember the Cool Drive car. They did 16 laps under Bradley Vaughan, so they quickly came in. Bradley Vaughan's jumped in the car now for a lap. I assume Josh Anderson is going to come in and they're going to pit straight away this lap round. I also see, is that the BP car in the pit lane? It's not the safety car, it's Jake Maloney too, so he's gone for fresh rubber.
Okay, so there'll be a couple of cars with fresh tyres at the back of the field. Wayne Burke, they needed a bit of a safety car free kick.
Andrew Gilliam comes in as well. So, yeah, Burke, well, they had nothing to lose. They were deep in the field. So, we said that the Cool Drive car needed a safety car to come out to rectify their regulations blunder by stopping a lap too early for their minimum driver lap, so their all-star driver. How good's that BP Ultimate Ford GT safety car?
It's not bad. Not bad at all.
Good thing about it is, though, also, is you can look over the top of it. So Jared Filsell, you can just look straight over the top of the thing. It's hard to see the flashing lights over that big rear wing on the
We did have a, remember the GTE came to Bathurst and we had
Ryan Briscoe drove that car.
Did some laps in that. That was pretty cool. So a few drivers have come in and taken a free pit stop here. About 6 or 7. First in the queue is always the one you want to watch out for. We believe that is going to be Jake Maloney, car 98 in the BP car. So the BP Ultimate car has taken the biggest free kick of the
BP Ultimate safety car.
So we're still finishing each other's sentences from the opener tonight. Thanks, Gar.
Thanks, Chad.
Love the real life look from what it's like in the grandstand, and how realistic is that for what it was like in the Sandown 500. Big packed grandstand there. Looking forward to racing here very shortly as well. We return to Sandown for Super Sprint racing. Penrite Sandown Super Sprint is coming up August 20th weekend. So if you're in Victoria for that one, that is a must-view event. You always get spicy weather. You always get lots of excitement. There's the lead team at the moment from behind the photographers at turn 2. Brody Kostecki and Jared Filsell in control. And they won't be too nervous about this because they've got the tyre life on this restart.
Freshest tyres, other than those have taken brand new tyres right now under this safety car. So Filsell had plenty of speed just prior to this safety car. So Jake Burton's got a reasonable free kick out of this one. So that 10-second gap's come right down. Jordan Caruso will start out of third. Madison down, so a nice recovery from the 14 team. Find themselves fourth. Brenton Hobson up 8 spots from the start of this one. So nice recovery for some of our competitors. Dane Warren, so we said prior to the safety car that gap was 36 seconds. Safety cars helped them beautifully. It's currently 4.8 seconds.
That was also a nice safety car for the Cool Drive team to catch because it meant that Brad Vaughan was able to go out and do that one extra lap under safety car conditions. Clever.
Well, he's still in the car, so might as well finish this one off now. Brad Vaughan.
The lights are out, so they'll lose a little bit of time on that pit stop, handing it back over. Keep an eye out for car 98, BP Ultimate Colours. Jake Maloney will take the restart in 13th on fresh tyres. Jared Filsell brings us back to the green flag at Sandown. Jake Burton right on his bumper. Is there going to be late race drama? Round 2, endurance racing at Sandown.
Into the braking zone at 1, line astern. No one looking, so it's about making sure you hit your marks. And again here at 2, as the tyres come back up to temperature. Filsell and Burton, Jordan Caruso all fly the curbs nicely at 2 and 3. Burton, he's going with Filsell nicely here on this opening restart lap. So they start to open up a bit of a gap over Jordan Caruso.
Also watch out for Dane Warren restarting in 9th. Elected to stay out there and keep that track position that he'd worked for. The field bunching up could potentially give him a few more spots late in this race. Filsell not driving away from the field.
No. Burton doing a nice job. Like I said, he's going with Filsell nicely here. A little bit more of a gap between Burton and Caruso. So just under half of a second as they come to the line to complete the first lap after the safety car restart. Dane Warren hasn't been able to do anything yet as far as improved positions. So he currently finds himself behind Cooper Webster in the number 20 Commodore.
It's in too much for the guys on fresh tyres at the back of the field, working their way through yet.
So Maloney has just set a personal best first sector though, so potentially as those tyres start to come up, he will look to go forward, and the car right behind him as well, Andrew Gilliam, he came to the pits and grabbed a set of tyres also. So those two probably need to work together for the next couple of laps and then worry about squabbling over whatever position they find themselves in with a lap or 2 to go.
I'm surprised the guys on new tyres aren't making more headway here. With Brady Myers, the next car in line.
I just looked up and looked at the lap time for Jared Filsell on the previous lap. A 6.5, so some serious speed. Jake Burton, though, went with him with a 6.6, so the tyre's cooling down nicely under that safety car period and brought some speed back on this restart. Dane Warren buried in the pack a little bit, though, so a 7.1 for him. So the traffic just holding Dane Warren back a little bit right now as he looks to continue to fight back. He's got one, he's got Webster.
Got to the inside of the Newline car. Can he spring to the inside down here on the Penrite entry? No way through this time by. It's Griffin Gardner, new driver to the series in the Penrite colours. Joined Grove Racing. Now we see action for the guys in the background who have taken the fresh tyres as well. Championship leader with plenty of work to do. There's definitely 2 or 3 spots maybe that he could make up at the end of this one. Laps ticking down, Jonathan.
Brenton Hobson in 5th position. He's doing a great job holding up this train, including the current championship leader. But remember Brenton Hobson, he used to race in this championship back in 2019. This will be a career best result if he can hold this top 5 position. Very important for him in that Cash Converters Racing Commodore.
Okay, thanks for that. And it came off the back of Justin Rougia's amazing drive up through the field. Oh, big line down the inside. At turn 4 as Warren gets to the inside of Griffin Gardner.
Side by side still as they come off turn 4.
Man, absolutely sprung a surprise. Got Cooper Webster pushing him down the back straight.
Oh, Gardner's going to lose a couple out of that one.
That was aggressive, but these are the aggressive moves he's going to have to make at the end of this last few laps tonight. Can Webster fight back down here and potentially pick up the championship leader under brakes? Not quite.
Bit of a gap now to the next one for Dane Warren. Jackson, Susel and Harlow.
3 to go. Phil Sell comfortably leading the way. Now, same move could be on if he's close enough.
Not close enough this lap, I don't think, Chad. Not unless he can fly it nicely through 2 and 3. I'll tell you who's going with Warren, though. Cooper Webster. Seriously, good speed to go with who is really the form guy in this championship.
Jake Maloney's got a couple of spots. He's up to 11th with those fresh tyres. So starting to find some gains now. Susel Harlow puts the pressure on the back of Hobson down the hill.
Oh,
has a big look.
Big look. There's going to be contact. Can Warren get the benefit of both of them here?
This is
going
exactly
to go
what
around,
he wants.
Around the outside here at 11.
He's boxed in.
Yeah, boxed in. So Harlow still up the inside. Susel Harlow. Webster has a look up the inside. A little bit of contact there. This is classic Sandown racing.
Good stuff. 2 to go, and this is heating up. Remember, there's some drivers in the back of this pack on fresh rubber as Webster moves over, blocks the run of Griffin Gardner.
Dane Warren, he's up to 6th.
Oh, that looked like potentially off the road. Oh, and in the fence, the Pizza Hut car of Brady Myers. I was wondering why the BP car was running wide through turn 1. Could have had something to do with that. We go back to the leaders right now, and the fight for second is on here. Phil Sell's checked out as expected, but Burton Caruso and Madison Down are fighting it out. Jake Kostecki has 1 career podium in the All-Stars E-Series, came back in 2020. Jordan Caruso's got a couple. Jake Burton's no stranger to being on the podium.
Burton's speed certainly gone away from him. There's a bit going on in the background. Who was that?
I think it was Dane Warren.
It is. He's going down our timing screen.
Oh, the huge run comes to an end for Dane Warren. He's off the road at turn 9.
What happened there, Chad? You just saw it in the background, but we need to understand how that took place.
Last lap.
Last lap. This is the battle for the podium.
Big moves going on up and down the field. Phil Sell looking good. Burton Caruso down. On for the podium tonight. They still sit in those positions on this last lap, but there's been late drama. Dane Warren, after climbing as high as 9th, goes all the way back down to 17th. And essentially a double points race as well. That could be sinking his championship charge.
Massive, massive implications for Dane Warren and Jaden Ojeda. But this car, the Boost Mobile Commodore, has led from the lights out at the start. And they've both driven beautifully. Jared Filsell has brought it home splendidly, but Brody Kostecki, opening stint was mega.
Yeah, put it on the pole, and that is about as good a lights to flag victory as you'll see in the E-Series. They were victorious at Bathurst last year, and they've combined for victory again. Winners at Sandown. Jared Filsell greets the checkered flag. Well done, Brady Kostecki. Well done to the crew at Boost Erebus Racing. They have just been perfect tonight. Congratulations to them. They're fighting the whole way through the pack. Jake Burton second for Brad Jones Racing, so 4th and 2nd for him, putting a really nice championship charge together. Jordan Caruso gets his best result of the season so far. Brenton Hobson gets his first ever top 5. Griffin Gardner and Jake Maloney, new guys, 7th and 8th. That's a good result for them. Job Stewart climbed from the back of the field to finish 10th. So nice job, Job Stewart, in the SwiftX colours. And there's lots to dissect off the back of that one, but they never looked in any real danger. Jared Filsell got given that car with the big lead, had to survive a BP Ultimate safety car restart, but did it quite easily and did so with sublime co-driver skills from his all-star pairing in Brodie Kostecki. And look at this, all the way down in 15th. He managed to get 2 spots in the last lap, which is impressive, but it's not what Dane Warren and Jaden Ojeda was hoping for. For Dane Warren, he loses that championship lead. It's the first time since 2019 that a team other than Walkinshaw and Andretti United have led the championship. He finished 7th at Bathurst last year, and that left him vulnerable in the championship. Well, it's not much better tonight. Bosch highlights of what's been an awesome race at Sandown. Second stop of the tour, 300 points were up for grabs, and it was the All-Stars, all of them starting this one. And the drama for the championship leader, Dane Warren, started in the very first sector.
It certainly did. Jaden Ojeda was collected by Shepherd in the Repco Mustang in turn 3. Big damage for them. Tom Randall was having plenty going on in the early stages with he and Jack LeBrock. Brad Vaughan got into the back of James Golding early on. There was more contact, a bit of retribution. Randall and LeBrock going at it again, so LeBrock decided he'd fix this himself.
There's the dump and run on that one. That was the pit stops happening, and yet Tom Randall decided he didn't want to come down pit lane once, he wanted to do it twice, and he was a little bit frustrated with that.
Yeah, small mistake there. Then we saw this contact at the second phase of the race between
Stewart and Rick Kuznetsov, turning him around, and unfortunately that was the end of Kuznetsov's run through the pack. And at the end of the race, it was all about Jared Filsell. Boost Mobile doing a lovely job getting the job done tonight. And that is your Bosch race highlights done for the night. Well done to our race winners. Let's chat with them right now in our Shaw Live chat. Congratulations to these guys who are untouchable. Brodie Kostecki, we'll start with you, buddy. Well done. Congratulations. 300 points. You have extended your championship lead. Nice job.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a really good point stay for myself and a good point stay for Jared as well. So, yeah, car ran flawless and Jared did a good job at the end there and, yeah, we're just able to make it all work.
We'll switch it over to Jared Filsell right now. And how are you feeling right now, Jared? A big win tonight, but more importantly, Dane Warren down in 15th, so championship blows wide open.
Yeah, I didn't see the results until I got out of the car. That's bad luck for Dane. He was definitely running up there, but yeah, I'm not sure what happened to him then there. But yeah, yeah, great for the championship. See if we can push on and move forward.
Brodie, we are still waiting to hear exactly what we're going to get next week for the Fans' Choice Award. Have you got anything that you'd like to see the fans voting on?
Oh, I reckon we're due for an oval there, Chad.
Yay.
What do you reckon?
You're talking my language, mate. Garth and I have been secretly peddling this in the background. What's your favourite oval on iRacing for a supercar?
Oh, there's a few good ones, but probably my favourite's probably Atlanta, but I reckon we need to get Garth in there as well.
I can't commentate and race at the same time, Brodie.
Oh, so yes, you can, Garth.
You just stick to the driving and I'll talk about it. So, what do you want? Short oval, mid-size oval, super speedway, quickly. What do you want next? What would you like to see next week?
I reckon we do a mid-sized oval.
All right, perfect. You're a fan of the sport, and he's had his fans' choice vote right there. We'll let you know more about that as we can. Thank you very much, Brodie. Congratulations, mate. Well done. We don't want to hear from the fans just on our Fans' Choice Award, but we also need to know who their Repco top performer is as well, because there have been a few drivers in the field that have put their hand firmly up for that one. And Jared Filsell and Brodie Kostecki have picked up the win. That lived up to the hype, Garth. Looking forward to the Fans' Choice next week.
Can't wait. Hopefully, oval. Vote for an oval.
All right, remember, the Bend next week. We're going racing this weekend, OTR Super Sprint at the Bend. I'll see this guy there, and we'll see you guys next week right here for the Cash Converters Supercars E-Series.